He's like, I'm tired of that shit already.
Yep. And we're live. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode number 145 of Mirrorless Minutes. Checking
Yes,
in
sir.
today with Jerry James at the helm here with me. And today we're going to talk about inspiration. We get asked a lot. I know Jerry does. I do regularly. How do you stay motivated to shoot as much as we do? Because we shoot pretty much daily. And I think that a lot of it comes down to being able to find inspiration to go shoot. What's going on, John? How you doing? I think I just missed you last week up near Point Betsy. Looked like we were up there close to the same time. But yeah, so the topic, of inspiration, I think it's one of those things I think a lot of people have difficulty finding it all the time. And I don't think I'm unique in saying that it's not hard to find something to shoot.
Yeah.
It's whether you find something that inspires you to create is where it gets a little tricky.
Yeah.
And I know Jerry has done some things lately that help keep the inspiration going. Jerry now this sounds crazy. He got a motorcycle.
Mini dirt bike. It's a motorcycle.
All right, so we'll just say it is a that's funny. Adam wants to know if it's Gilbert Gottfried, and I know he's not talking about me. So mini bike, not really. It's like a small motorcycle. If you want to look it up, it's a Honda Gram.
That's right.
And it's just a small motorcycle, but Jerry got it because A, fun to cruise around, but B, for photography. I mean,
right.
So give me some examples, Jerry, of how this has kind of helped keep you motivated and inspired to go shoot. Like some things you've done with it.
It's definitely easier to maneuver around in places that you can't get to in a car.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about putting some dirt tires on it, and then I'll be able to do some. I two-track on it now a little bit. Some dirt roads, some trails, rode down the train tracks on it. It's just stuff you're not going to do on a regular motorcycle.
Yep.
So it gets me to some places that are a little tougher to get to
Sure.
without having to walk.
Right.
So I throw my camera strap over my shoulder and I ride the bike down the street with the camera hanging off my hip.
And I think that, so like for me, I don't have anything like that. The closest I've got's a mountain bike, which I've only ridden once this year.
I ride my mountain bike too.
But like, so if I'm driving down the road in my truck or my car and you're riding down the road on your motorcycle, you see the world differently. So I know that helps to, trigger that inspiration in you to stop. And it's
right.
Like you said, it's easier probably to just swing over. I mean, you can ride that thing up onto like the sidewalk.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I go on the sidewalk. I rode that thing down the bike trail one day.
Yeah. I think you've ridden it out on the piers here in Michigan too, haven't you? So, it's something like that helps keep, it's not just the motivation to shoot, but the inspiration. And I think that if you get out and, if you can get the motivation level up enough to get out the door and then just kind of slow your mind down and enjoy the location, then you'll find things that I think inspire you to shoot. I don't have difficulty in.
You don't even really have to leave the house.
No,
I mean,
you really don't.
Look at Seth for an example. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm just playing. Like that picture I showed you today, I took of my the light socket.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We're redoing the kitchen, and I had one of the covers off the light.
Yeah.
And when I got up this morning, the light was coming through the blinds.
Yeah.
And, you guys will see the picture later.
Yep.
But I mean, I was just walking around the house, and I'm like, yo, there's some cool lighting in here. I start snapping pictures of stuff.
And you'll talk about what you used to create that. And I think, again, that, while we all know that it isn't gear that makes the photographer, sometimes different gear, new gear, old gear, it doesn't matter. If it's something different, that often leads to
it's some excitement. Yeah,
For sure, without a doubt. I mean,
right.
heck, it's actually like my tagline on Twitter. It has been for like the last 4 or 5 years now, that new gear doesn't make you a better photographer, but it can often inspire you to create better photos.
Right.
And,
right.
So again, if you're looking for sources of inspiration to get out and shoot, I think it's as simple as change up your gear a little bit. So today I went for a walk in the woods, looking for mushrooms. They were good for dinner tonight, I'll say that. But just throwing on the macro lens and just knowing that that's the lens I'm going to shoot with the entire time I'm out here. And you change that mindset, that frame of mind, knowing that I'm limited to this one focal length, and you become inspired once you start seeing things from the perspective that setup is going to
Right.
provide you.
I do that all the time, man. You know me, one lens.
Yeah, Jerry is like notorious for showing up. One camera, one lens. It's in a tiny bag, and meanwhile, I'm freaking out because I don't have like 4 lenses. I only got 3 or something. Hey, how's it going, Gareth? Sterling Heights. It's good to have our Michigan people in here tonight too.
Yes, sir.
So again, as far as the inspiration, I kind of consider inspiration and motivation are always hand in hand. I think that if you're not motivated to go shoot, you're not going to be inspired to shoot. Right. So I think the biggest step is going to be for people to take the first step out the door, or like you said, you don't have to leave the house necessarily, but get off the couch or out of the office chair, whatever it is, grab the camera. That's the first step, motivation to start shooting. And then I think that the frame of mind of just slowing down and kind of getting into the whole mentality of I'm going to make photos today, it's not too hard to find something that inspires you that way.
Right, for sure.
And so Mike Timko says he's looking for people to start shooting with. I know Mike personally. All he has to do is get a hold of me and say, hey, do you want to go shoot today?
Right.
So there you go, Mike. Just hit me up sometime. So and Adam saying that he just bought an EM1 Mark III, looking forward to the doors that opens for sure. And hitting video harder every day. Hit that video really hard. Hit it for me too.
Right.
I love doing video. I'm just not any good at it, so
right.
I tend to not do it enough, I guess. But again, like I said in the social post, leading up to this, we're always open to questions too. So if you guys have questions about anything, and it doesn't have to be topical, I'm a random guy. I'll be talking about one thing and then just change gears and talk about something else. So, don't feel embarrassed to ask a question that doesn't tie into exactly what we're saying at the moment. We're always here to answer those for you guys.
Sure.
And so when we go through the image share tonight, that's a lot of, I'll talk about the inspiration, what inspired me or how I got inspired behind like each of the images that were shot. And, sometimes, inspiration comes in different forms. You might not, it doesn't necessarily have to be something where you're, okay, like the Aurora Borealis. Sure, everybody's inspired to shoot that if you see it. But, sometimes it could just literally be, rounding a corner and seeing something that reminds you of your childhood.
Go for a walk. Get out on your pedal bike. And
yeah, I think that's a big part of it is just being able to step out the door and or step off the couch if you can't make it out the door. I mean, COVID.
I think riding your pedal bike or even going for a walk, you see a lot of stuff even in your own neighborhood that you miss driving in and out of your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because when you're driving, you're generally on a mission to get from point A to point B.
Right. Yeah.
I spent years just doing walks around the block next to where I live. I live in a small farming type town here in Michigan, mid-Michigan, and actually 2 pieces of property over from me is a big granary, huge silos. There's all kinds of farm equipment and things like that. And I never ran out of things to be inspired to shoot when I was there. Textures, the plants, little critters that would run around over there. Getting in places like that and deciding that I'm just going to do monotone today and just shoot everything in black and white. It's easy to look at what you'd normally pass by every day. And like Jerry said, if you're walking, riding your bike, it's easier to start seeing those things.
Right.
So Adam's talking to you specifically, says, I know you go through phases with your images and your edit colors and styles sometimes. Where's your head at now? His head's not in a hat and hair, so.
I've actually been trying to keep things super simple. 35 millimeter and one lens, and minimal editing as possible. Just trying to pretty much shoot for the light.
Yeah.
And let the shadows and the highlights and that tell the story. Keep it simple, you know.
Yeah, no, one of the last shoots you were on, I know we spoke just after you wrapped that one up, and you said that you had gone out and you'd shot the whole thing natural light, which was kind of a big departure from what you've been doing lately, because for a long time you were always taking that Godox with you everywhere you went.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. Lately it's just I just been wanting to keep everything super simple, man.
Yeah.
Even and if I don't got to edit, that's even better.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So it's funny, we were talking about that earlier. There's a photographer that I follow, Josh Snow, and he spent some time in New Mexico recently and posted probably one of the most incredible photos I've seen in a long time. And
that dude's good.
And watching, he just shared this evening his post processing. It's like a 4.5 minute time lapse, and I don't know what his playback rate was, but he was flying in the time lapse, and it's still 4+ minutes long. And I'm here with you on that, Jerry. Not knocking anything. Because his work is mind bending, but
it's really good.
But to spend that amount of time in post, that's a whole different animal, and it's a whole different thing. So
he's also, I think his stuff leans more towards fine art too. You know what I mean? Like
very much.
That stuff is incredibly gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, I just want to take a picture.
Yeah. Yep.
I think I'm past. I don't want to say I'm past the fine art thing, but I don't know. It's just I'm at a point where I just want to keep everything simple. You know?
Yeah, I can respect that 100%. So hey, we got a new viewer here, Dwayne. So Dwayne wants to know what our gear is, and said he just bought into the Fuji X100V. I've been looking at that camera.
That thing. Yo,
I'll get myself in trouble.
That thing is nice. That would be the perfect camera for me, honestly.
Yeah, they're all perfect cameras for us, Jerry.
Right.
So I'll jump in first, I guess. So I'm an ambassador for Olympus. So obviously shooting with Olympus equipment, but my role in the ambassadorship program has changed. And I went from being what is called a visionary now into their educator program. And when I made that move into the educator program, when it was time to talk about contracts and things like that, I asked if they could include in my contract the ability to start shooting with other equipment, because leading all the way up until that educator's role, which is years, we're talking like 6+ years of shooting with Olympus, I had never shot with anything else, and I lead workshops and things like that. So I had them put into my contract for me to be able to shoot with other equipment. So I've jumped into Sony as a second system, because a lot of my workshop attendees are either Olympus or Sony users.
Right. Yeah,
so I have Olympus equipment, like all of it, like everything that they make. And then the Sony A7 III and a handful of Tamron lenses and a few others. And yeah, I kind of am liking the look of that Fuji. The color science with Fuji is just astounding, and I'm really interested to play with something like that as well.
Right.
What about
I like
you,
the film simulations.
What are you shooting with, Jerry? What are you shooting with?
I shoot Olympus EM1 Mark III, Olympus Pen F, Sony A7 R2. What else do I got? I got the Olympus TG 870. That I leave that thing in my car. Honestly, it sits in my glove box. You never know when you're gonna need a camera.
Right.
And then I have a handful of film cameras. I got I've been shooting my Canon AE1 program.
Yeah.
I got a Pentax.
Hold that big brick up that you had. Is it within arm's reach?
Yeah, I got it right here. I didn't have time to put it back.
So this is what Jerry's doing his next model shoot with.
The Mamiya RB67. Thing's a honker, boy.
Yeah, I don't know if that qualifies as mirrorless minutes content, but
Right.
we'll allow it. We'll allow it for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So Dwayne said he loved the Pen F. You know what? That is probably my favorite camera I've ever owned.
It's fun.
Is the
It's
Pen F?
fun.
Yeah, it was an incredible camera.
Dude,
Sure.
I take that thing, when I got it with me, it goes everywhere. If I go in grocery shop and the camera's hanging off my side,
Yep.
I'm taking pictures in the grocery store.
Yep. Yeah, that's my travel camera. Like if I know I'm going to be traveling to like a big urban area and I'm not going to be doing landscape and wildlife and things like that, it's the Pen F and primes are what I roll with for that.
Right. Yeah, I wish I need to get a 12 millimeter for it, man. Stop playing around.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to figure out the film simulations from Fuji and sort of transfer them over or recreate them.
I've been
on the
looking.
Pen F.
Some of them are out there. Not all of them. Some of them are out there.
Yeah.
I'm looking for like the Kodachrome and the Portra 400, and
Yeah, it'll be tough to match.
I found the Kodachrome ones. I got to key them in. I was actually going to do that after the show. I'm
Yeah.
still looking for the Portra 400 though. I think that's my favorite.
Yeah. I like the Acros. I'm a black and white guy. I love getting in the city and shooting with something like that is nice. So let's jump into a little bit of an image share because that does kind of tie into, the whole premise of the show was being inspiration. And I know personally for me, that's kind of what I'll talk to for each of these images. And do you want to go first, Jerry? Or do you want me to jump in? I'll leave it up to you on this one.
You go first.
Just as I was getting ready to take a sip, I knew that.
Well, because I need to talk about my thing.
Oh yeah,
and my images are in there. So
there we go. Yeah, that's.
So do we talk about the thing now? Or do we do it after the image share? Or I'm gonna have to do it before mine. So, it don't matter. Go ahead and go. Then I'll do mine, and then I'll just talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, too late. Right. So last weekend, or last week actually, in the beginning of the week, got a hold of my friend Shelly, and just kind of wanted to get a little escape to go shoot, and we're looking for some place to go. And I had told Shelly about Kensington Metro Park over on the east side of Michigan as being a fun place, great nature trails, and really friendly animals. As you can see in the photo, I told her, if we're going, we're going to stop for bird seed, and this would be a place where she could literally feed the animals right out of her hands. I mean, they're wild animals, but you'd never know it from walking down the trails.
I've always wanted to do that, man.
It's very fun. You can feed numerous kinds of birds. Will just literally land in the palm of your hand and just sit there and eat seed. And chipmunks will basically grab your fingers and tell you, not with their teeth, but just, I had a chipmunk eating in the palm of my hand, and I went to pull my hand away, and he reached up with his two front paws and gripped my finger like, whoa, bro, don't pull that seed back quite yet. So it's a really fun experience. So the inspiration, for this shot was a photo that I had taken of my son, my youngest son, on his first trip to Kensington, and watching the birds eat out of his hands. And then, again, bringing Shelly there for her to see this, and just had to, I had to let her experience it too. It's fun. It's like a magical experience. This was shot with the EM1X with the 12-100 on it. And just, I have it resting on my forearm, and I was using Pro Capture. So I have an insanely long sequence of the bird flying in, landing, picking up the seed, about 6 frames of him staring at me before he takes off and flies away. Really easy to do. You wouldn't have to do Pro Capture to get a shot like this there, because they come so frequently to your hands. It's really easy to do, but I wanted to do the Pro Capture anyways, because at some point I want to throw them into a piece of software and make like a little animation out of them that I can share. So Gareth Krause says Kensington is the best for bird shooting. Amen. I 100% agree. It's my favorite place to go birding for sure. The next shot, again, so this falls in line with what we were talking about earlier about getting out the door and just jumping in a vehicle, jumping on a bicycle, jumping into your tennis shoes. It doesn't matter. Just get out the door and find the things that stand out to you, the things that you would normally pass, and not stop and shoot them. And this is kind of one such case here. This is an old feed mill in a small town, Parma. I'd never driven through Parma. I had family that lived in Parma at one point in time, and I had never gone through there. And just driving around looking for things to shoot. And I'm always drawn to, weathered, decaying, abandoned, run down. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the textures and the patina on things. And as I'm driving through town, I can see this big red, looks like a barn way up in the air. I'm like, what in the heck is that over there? And I kind of dip through a couple of streets and come out into the parking lot of this old feed mill and just decided, you know what? I love the texture here. I just have to shoot this. So that's what I did. I just jumped out of the car, and this was shot. I had the Sony with me. So this is with the A7 III and the Samyang 14 millimeter f2.8. And had to do some distortion correction because the 14 millimeter is just ridiculously wide. But again, you can't necessarily always choose what becomes inspiration. Sometimes you have to just let it kind of walk up and kind of bop you on the nose. And that's what it was as well. The next shot, again, I spent a lot of time cruising around with Shelly. So this trip was last weekend. Her and I cruised along the Lake Michigan shoreline and went to my favorite place on the Lake Michigan shoreline, and that's Point Betsy Lighthouse. The water there is just a Caribbean green and blue. And when we got there, it was a miserable day. It was rainy and it was insanely windy. And I just knew what I was going to do there with the wind and the water moving the way it was. I knew I wanted to throw filters on. So that's kind of what I was doing in this shot. And this is another Sony photo. This is the A7 III, the Tamron 17 to 28 f2.8. And I'm using H&Y filters for this to slow everything down. So this is a 6-stop H&Y ND filter held on with like their magnetic filter holder system, which is really great to use. And then on top of the 6-stop, there's actually a soft graduated ND because as cloudy and as overcast it is, the sky was quite a bit brighter. So just to balance the exposure out, I stacked the two filters up. And this is probably about a 4-second exposure, maybe, about 4 seconds. It wasn't very long. The water was very turbulent. And just choosing, strong leading lines in this, of the breakwater kind of emanating from the lower left corner of the shot. It's just kind of how I compose that. And I've been there many times, so kind of already know what I'm getting into when I get there, but always inspired, by the weather and what it's doing in these locations. So I always tell people, if you have a favorite place to go and something that you like to shoot in that location, for landscape people anyways, go back in different weather, start documenting how everything changes during the different seasons and different weather patterns. The next one is just what we talked about earlier, getting out and just taking a walk. So that's what I did. I love to spend time in the woods, especially this time of the year. We get a lot of rainy weather, and the fungus starts to grow and the moss seems to get a lot richer looking. So that's what I did. I just spent time wandering in the woods on some trails not too far from my house, maybe a mile from my house, and just wandered through, and I was noticing all the different colors and textures and shapes. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to make a lay flat kind of a shot. And I found this stump, and I spent about a half hour, scouring around. I'd find something, that's a lot of this. I honestly don't know what it is. So I'm not even going to try to guess, but I know that the red is the seed pods from a Jack in the Pulpit flower. I know that much. And in the, about the center of the frame, the mushrooms in the middle that look like little plates, those are turkey tail. I know those. But what I did is I just went out and I found a sprig of fern, and I came back and I set it down on the stump, and I just wandered around, and things that were popping out to me, I just collected them and just made this little lay flat. And this is shot with the OMD EM1X and the 60 millimeter macro. This is a handheld high res shot. And I just love how much detail you can get out of those handheld high res shots. And they're so easy to do. I mean, as dark as the woods were, it was late in the afternoon, getting towards evening, and was still able to do a handheld high-res shot nice and crisply with it. And this next shot is, unfortunately, compliments of California and basically everything west of the Mississippi that seems to be burning right now. It's horrible.
Right.
And that smoke is... It's crazy that it's actually here, aloft in the atmosphere. And our sunrises and our sunsets the last several days have just been incredible. And that's kind of what this was the other morning. Yesterday morning, I woke up and I knew I had plenty of time to get out and catch sunrise. So that's what I did. I just raced out just to the edge of town. I knew that there was a field that was just kind of overgrown. And luckily enough, there's a lot of goldenrod growing out there, and the spiky things you see on the left, those are teasel. And I just framed the sun coming up in between the teasel and the tall grasses on the right-hand side. And this was shot with the Sony A7 III and a crazy lens that's super cheap. It's Viltrox 85 millimeter f1.8. And it's just a handheld bracketed shot, 3 shots at 3 EV each. And this one was shot today. Again, it was the whole, what inspires me to shoot is being in the woods and all the crazy little things that you see if you get down low and get close, to the ground and to the logs that are falling. And, while walking through the woods looking for mushrooms to eat, I was also looking for mushrooms to photograph. And I found these mushroom I've never seen before. These little black mushrooms, super cool, growing in these little tight clusters. This was shot. It's a handheld high-res shot, and this is shot with the EM1X and the 30 millimeter f3.5 macro. And I had a couple of focus stacked shots that I did, but I really just like the isolation of that cluster in the middle of the frame. So I didn't share the focus stacked image of those. And
do you ever print any of that stuff?
No.
No.
Don't. And it's funny because that
stuff looks cool.
It's one of those things where I'm thinking about this winter. I'm redoing this whole room I'm sitting in now. So I'm going to repaint, and I'm thinking of taking all the photographs down and running new prints of things and changing the whole feel of the room. I actually want to get a hold of your friend who runs that Big Wall Decor company.
Oh, Nick.
And get something ridiculously huge to hang on the wall.
Right. Make sure you get it backlit, dude. It's insane.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so it must be my turn.
Yep. And Bob.
Sorry,
I was going to answer a couple of real quick questions. So Bob wants to know when I'm going to demonstrate those filters. If you want me to do it on the air, Bob, I can do it on the next show. It's pretty easy for me to just hold them up and show how it works. Only take a second. So I could definitely do that for sure. If you want to meet up somewhere, maybe we'll arrange some time to meet up, and I'll let you just give them a go. Steve says the next time we go, I'd love to meet me there. Is that me? Actually, I should get Jerry to go too, and then you can meet us both. And I'm assuming you're talking about Kensington. So maybe the next time I'm going to go, kind of make like a big social announcement. Maybe we do a meetup there, or like a photo walk, like in the old days when we used to do stuff.
Adam
like
can
that.
drive up here.
Yeah, we're not that far from Adam.
That's right.
And so let's see. Oh, okay. I'm not buying another phone yet, so stop. And the camera's not going to be good on this one anyways. Let's see. What else? So one more. Sorry, I'm just playing catch up, Jerry. Last night's sun has disappeared into the haze at 7. You can see the sun. By 7:30, it was gone. Yeah, that happens. Okay, dude. So
here we go.
All on you, man.
I reached out to a company called Spiffy Gear, and they make LED lights. I think a lot of it, I'm not sure if they originally started doing it for video or not, but they make a lot of different LED types of panels and things. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to them, and they sent me a couple of things to try out and create a little bit of content for them. And as you can see, these are really cool. If I can get it to turn on, because I'm holding it wrong. There we go. So these are flexible, pretty much flexible LED panels.
Does that literally like slap onto your wrist like those old school bracelets? How cool is that?
These are cool. So they're magnetic too. So this strip on the back right here is magnetic.
Yeah.
So let's say, and what the reason I even reached out to them is because you know how I am. I don't like carrying stuff. And if I can carry a light with me around my wrist,
yep,
and then I can walk up to a fence, and all I'm holding is my camera, and I slap this onto a fence and can create enough light to light my model, I'm all for it.
That's super cool.
So they got a bunch of little accessories with them. So this is the bicolored light. So it does like 2800 Kelvin all the way up to like 78 or 28,000 up to 78,000. So it gets white.
So from warm to cool.
Yep. And then they also have a RGB, which you can do. You know what RGB is: red,
Yep.
blue, green.
Nice.
And then they have a bunch of subcolors with them too, so you can change like the intensity of the green. You can go yellow.
Cool.
And then the other cool little thing is they do. This is really cool for video. So let's say you can do. Let me get them to work here. Come on. I haven't figured it out all the way yet. Anyway, you can get these to so they'll flicker like a candle light.
Okay.
Or you can get them to mimic lightning. So they'll flash like lightning. So for like video, if you stick it say outside of a window and you get the lightning effect coming through the
Very cool.
the window. So they're pretty cool, and they have a bunch of different little accessories with them. This has a hot shoe mount on it, and you can hold 3 different lights in this one. So if you want
Where's
to
like a video light?
yeah, so you can do continuous lighting. You can put 3 of them on here. You can mix the colors. They also have another hot shoe mount that lets you attach just one. So these are pretty cool, man.
That's fun.
They feel like a silicone,
Yeah, they probably
silicone. They're pretty
Nice.
cool, man.
Yeah, Bob's got a good idea with that. It would be fun. He said put some on like a dancer and run like live comp.
Right. I think Joe's already done that.
Yeah, so I think didn't you say when we talked off air, I think Joe Edelman maybe sponsored by them or has done work with them.
Yeah, I think Joe's an ambassador for them, yeah.
Yep. They're super cool.
Them are really cool, man. I'm going to have some fun with those. I just got them, so I was only able to do a couple shoots with them, but I got some ideas. I'm going to do some cool stuff with them.
For sure. Now, do you have photos that were taken?
Yeah, yep. I'll pull
using
those.
Okay.
Where's Bob? Is he looking?
We're just wondering if you're gonna see this, Bob. And
are we there?
hold on.
Did I do it right?
Hold on, you did. It's all on me to add it to the stream. There we go.
All right, there we go. All right, I like to call this masterpiece the rape headquarters. So I don't know. I just call it that because of the rape van parked outside. I mean, and what the hell are they doing at midnight with the lights on in this place? But this is around the corner from my house. So like one of the things I do on the Grom, I just get out and ride around, and I look for lights at night. You know what I mean? Just look for interesting lights to shoot. And
Yep.
I thought this looked really, really suspect when I rode past and saw the van out there and the lights on inside, and there's nobody around anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is shot with the EM1 Mark III, and this was the first night I went out with it to use the image stabilization on it. So I think this is like a 4-second. Is this 4-second, 2-second handheld long exposure? Yeah, and this was a night I pulled the camera out and went to test it out. So I got another one same night. Family Dollar around the corner. When they closed down, they gated all up. It had just got done raining, so I was trying to get some reflections that night, but I got out there too late and it dried up a little bit. So
Yeah.
so this is another EM1 Mark III shot, and Family Dollar around the corner. And then so there's a cemetery not too far from here, and it's all the office. It sits up on a hill. It's called Mona View. It sits up on top of a hill. All the buildings there are out of use. So I don't even know if anybody really goes up there other than the people who go to visit their loved ones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like this is actually a a what do you call it?
A greenhouse.
A greenhouse. But as you can see, all the glass has been broken out of it. And then there's headstones laying everywhere where they shouldn't be. And so I just walked around and took some pictures up there. This is actually an iPhone shot because I didn't have my camera with me.
Yeah.
We was just doing some location scouting and happened to run upon this and was like, maybe this would be a cool spot for some Halloween shoots. And then back to the Spiffy Gear stuff. So this is some stuff I created for them using the bracelets. This was shot in a bathroom with no lights on, so the only light in there is coming from the bracelets. And I did a orange or a red and a blue bracelet. And then I was going to backlight her with bicolor, but it just didn't look right, so I just kept the 2 lights in there. And then this is shot with the Sony A7R2 Tamron 28 to 75. Same thing, same scenario, just different spot on the couch, and I threw the sequin blanket behind her. And,
Nice.
Just had her hold up the bracelets to try to kind of highlight her face on each side.
Yep. What is like the shutter speed on something like that? Just out of curiosity, does she have to hold super still, or is it?
Yeah, I believe this was probably 1/60th of a second.
Okay.
And then, because I'm indoors, so and there's zero lights on, so I'm indoors, and this is probably, I want to say 2000 ISO.
Okay. What was this on again? What was this
The
using?
Sony A7R3.
Okay.
And then I have one more, and this one was actually outdoors, so it was a little more light out at this time.
Sure.
And then we had, and she was wearing a green top, so I put one of the bracelets on green.
Yep.
And then I did the bicolor. I think that was at 3200 Kelvin.
Okay.
To kind of, because her skin's about that color. So
Yeah, just to keep everything warm.
Yep. And then this was shot on the Sony A7R2 Tamron 28 to 75. And I think that's about it on that one. And then my picture I was talking about earlier today when we were talking about getting inspired to shoot things.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning and I walked out into the kitchen to get me some coffee. And when I turned back around, the light was coming through the blind. And it was going all across the room.
Yep.
But the light socket just stood out to me because it was right in the middle of the wall. And I was like, yo, that looks cool. So I went and grabbed my camera, and this is shot with the Pen F with a Minolta 50mm 1.4 on it.
Yep.
And I just got in there tight and filled the frame with that light socket and those stripes. And that was pretty much it. So stuff like that this is what I was talking about with just keeping things simple. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I was really excited about this shot. And I know it's nothing special. It's a light socket on a wall, but you know, it looks cool to me and it's simple. And that's what I like.
No, that's cool. That's a lot of fun to just find those things that are, again, you know, like we were talking about earlier, you know, if you're out walking, it's just the simple things, you know, the things you wouldn't even look at otherwise or whatever, you know, and to have those become, you know, the subject, it's not hard to do. You just have to just recognize things like light and texture, you know, to start paying attention to the things you wouldn't look at otherwise and find a way to create them, an image with them.
So I'm pretty sure everybody's been through this too. Now that after you've been shooting for a while, just the little things you look at now that you never looked at that way before. Mm-hmm. Like the first thing I do when I walk out of the house every day, and I'm sure you do it too. First thing you do, look up at the sky. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? See what the clouds look like. See what colors up there.
Yep. Especially this time of year. You know, this time of year, you know, we get later into fall. You know, the sun, you know, in the summertime, the sun is right overhead at noon. It's really high. It stays high in the sky, you know, most of the day. Now it doesn't get quite as high in the sky. So you tend to get longer golden hour. You get, you know, like a long golden hour in the morning. You get a long golden hour in the evening. And then even like the midday light isn't horrible at this time of year. And well, I mean, I guess everything's a little different now with the wildfire haze that we have, but
Right.
generally, I love this time of year just because the shadows are longer, the light is
Right.
softer.
Yep, for sure.
You know,
Sky's
and-
redder.
Yeah. If it's not, totally socked in with those ominous gray low clouds that are kind of hinting at snow.
Right. I'm actually looking forward to that this year.
To winter shooting.
To overcast.
Overcast. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some stuff I want to try, so.
Yeah. Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, all right, folks. I think that's going to wrap up tonight's show. Again, as always, we want to say thank you guys for tuning in and watching live. And thanks to everybody that is listening to this after the fact. We have an album over on the Mirrorless Minutes Facebook page, so you can get a better look at these photos a little bit larger than in a screen share. I've got mine up there right now. Jerry's going to probably swing over here shortly and dump his in there as well. And, stay tuned for, I guess, some fun things coming up. We've got some announcements to make as far as, people we're collaborating with and things like that. So that'll be fun and interesting. And then also, I just want to say, if you're a Michigan photographer and you're looking for something to do on October 9th, it's a Friday evening. My friend Shelly's hosting it's like a meetup. We did one a few weeks ago where she had models come in, and I brought my Godox light, and another gentleman brought some LED panels, and we just kind of hung around the Grand Rapids downtown area and just went from place to place shooting with different lighting setups. And we had 4 different models that weekend. And the same kind of thing is going on again. It's going to be on October 9th. And I guess the best thing to do would be to, you could give Shelly a follow on Instagram and maybe message her. Her handle is Shelly, SHELLY _MD _ or message me if you've got questions. But it's going to be, again, Friday, October 9th. It'll be in the evening because we're going to be doing a lot with light. Jerry's going to bring his Spiffy Gear bracelets, which will be super cool to play with those. I'm probably going to bring the stuff to do a steel wool spin or 2 or 3, depending on if we get, the fire department called on us for being so crazy with steel wool. But we'll have stuff like that. We'll have some LED wands. I'll probably bring some LED panels, some constant light panels, so we can do a lot with long exposure and just fun light play, I guess. So again, October 9th, that's going to be in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So for you East Siders, maybe book a room somewhere over on the West Side and make a weekend trip out of it and start off with a Friday night shooting models in Grand Rapids.
Come on up, Adam.
For sure. Yeah, do it, Adam. Come on up. So until the next show, you guys, again, thanks for tuning in. In the show notes, we're going to have a link to the Spiffy Gear products that Jerry was sharing tonight. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Take care.